Interviews with Monster Girls is one of the best school anime I have completed and one of the most impressive character-driven series that I've ever seen. At the core, it was a successful series gaining a lot of popularity when it aired in the winter 2017 anime season, but the way I feel about this series I think has few backing it in the same way that I do. Right off the bat in episode 1, I saw something truly remarkable in this series. Japan is covered in sexual fan service, pandering to fetishes, and numerous other aspects that ruins anime for many, myself included. So when I saw the poster image and read the synopsis of a male teacher interviewing female Demi Humans, my thought was this: another monster girl harem with underage girls falling over naked onto the male teacher, but instead I watched an anime with a teacher, a normal teacher with a huge passion for Demi Humans, who all he wants to do is interview them and learn more about them, while helping them fit into human society with very little fan service to it, and when it was there, it usually served a purpose for the story. Sure, the female suits obviously have a crush on him, but it never went past a crush. I mean, when you were in high school, didn't the guys constantly say what hot female teacher that they wanted to bang, or the girls getting flustered because a cute male substitute teacher was in for the day? That was a common occurrence at my high school, but like most normal teachers, they don't return those feelings, and the main character Takahashi is just that, a normal teacher. So if you were here just to tell me that the show is trash because the females are attracted to him in this way, hopefully that stops you dead in your tracks. In this world, demi-humans are a normal thing. They aren't common. You may go your entire life never meeting one, but the main character Takahashi is fascinated by them and loves studying them, and all he really wants to do is be able to talk with one and get to know them. Now luckily for him, at the start of a new school year, because this is an anime, 3 girls enter the school who all just so happen to be demi-humans. Why this anime works so well isn't because it's not riddled with fan service. That is a big part of it and an added bonus, but because the series uses the concept of demi-humans to tell character-driven stories that are very relatable for the viewer while not making it come off as this cheap drama. To really explain what I mean, let's first take a look at one of the demi-humans who is a dullahan, Machi. For those who don't know what a dullahan is, it is someone whose head is not attached to their body, which you might remember from many classic myths such as the Headless Horseman. A common thing for anyone growing up in high school is finding yourself and feeling accepted. In modern society, despite all the progress that has been made, there is still a cultural divide between race, gender, religious beliefs, and the list can go on. But instead of focusing on a direct real-world issue, instead the series uses the concept of demi-humans and their issues to tell a story that you could easily remove the demi-human aspects and replace it with something like a racial issue, and the story would nearly function the same, with obviously some scenes needing more tweaking than others. But in the case of the dullahan, she is a girl who has to carry her head around, and many things that a normal student would do, such as even the basic things such as swimming underwater, she just can't do. She even has a hard time carrying all of her books around, as she also has to carry her head at the exact same time. Because of this, the students naturally treat her different. When they talk to her, they tiptoe around the fact that she doesn't have a head on her shoulders, and because of that, she immediately feels like she is cast to the side as everyone looks at her like a disabled person, someone who is different, where all she wants is everyone to accept her for who she is, not feel like they need to think she is this weird girl who everyone has to look at with these sad puppy dog eyes, but someone who can be included into the conversation without feeling like an outcast. This exact scenario could easily be applied to someone with a walking disability, or just someone from a different ethnicity transferring to a school where they don't fit in just because they feel like, because of the color of their skin, they may not understand the humor or references, so they will treat a normal person as a separate being just because of a minor difference in the pigment of their skin. Some may be thinking, well, she has no head attached to her body, everyone would find this weird. But at the end of the day, I have to ask why. If we lived in a world where everyone could at any point meet a demi-human, that is ingrained into our culture. But if you meet a person who carries around their head, no blood is spilling out, and they act like you or me, why must we treat them different? And why must we feel sorry for them? They are normal. Human society at the core is built around judging those who are different than us, and this is how Interviews with Monster Girls begins to show how it tells a down-to-earth, hard-hitting story, but instead of a monster girl harem, you have real social issues. Yuki is a snow woman, a girl who out of fear doesn't interact with anyone. She feels like if she gets too close she may harm others due to her body being naturally cold, and since she can't totally control her body, she could freeze someone at any given moment. What I absolutely love about Yuki's issues is how well it hits the believability of a new student transferring in, feeling like they are this outcast and secluding themselves away as to not let anyone in, as to not have the possibility of pain to happen. Many feel scared that they won't be accepted. In the case of Yuki, many characters want to be her friend, but she always turns down invitations to hang out after school and locks herself away and keeps her heart sealed shut. To an outsider looking in, however, this looks like a girl who is stuck up and thinks too highly of herself, and this results in bullying. Watching her character arc reminded me of so many instances in high school where I'd see a group of females pick on the new cute transfer student because of one thing or another. The guys latch onto her, she seems popular, or is just quiet and keeps to herself, and then some group decides what she is and picks on them. I wish I could say I only remember one instance of this in high school, but there are many and it's quite sad. Yuki is one who feels like an outcast and fear that she could be an uncontrollable weapon, but her fear and isolation is that of human emotion, and how they present it in a way of a snow woman makes us feel both down to earth but also has a great anime story with anime charm around it. This whole arc gets wrapped up once one of the Demi Humans, Hikari, butts in when a group of girls are picking a fight with Yuki for being stuck up as they are jealous the males are now attracted to her instead of them. Instead of it ending in a fist fight, they actually admit their wrongdoing and apologize after Hikari stands up to them in Yuki's defense. I have seen some claim that this was a great ending but not a believable one, as who just apologizes like that? Maybe not everyone can relate, but as someone who has dealt with bullying, stood up to bullying, and witnessed people stopping it firsthand, more times than not standing up to a bully will bring them down. It rarely escalated into physical violence more times than not at my school. More times than not they would walk away, and sometimes they would even apologize. Granted, it didn't always stop there, but I do remember one time with an old friend of mine when it did, because people stood up and pointed out how much of an ass these people were. People don't understand the power of words. So many think that violence is the only way to end a conflict, whereas words and strong arguments can end a conflict better than a punch to the face more times than not. Now granted, sometimes you do need to butt heads, but in the case of this specific issue, they did it in the proper manner. And as for the girl Hikari, the cheerful vampire girl who everyone loves, she is where it gets a little more basic. Instead of one major issue, I found her to be the character that kept the ball moving. Someone constantly helping others, standing up for what's right, letting Takahashi explore her vampire nature, and help her understand herself better while doing so. But they do bring up some subtle issues that she herself had to deal with, such as her not looking like her family and how an outsider looking in might view them as a weird family, similar to a Caucasian family adopting, let's say, an Asian baby. You would expect people wouldn't judge, but we all know there would be a few assholes who would. The father dyes his hair to match that of Hikari's, so she won't feel out of place, and there are so many heartwarming moments like this to really make it feel very special. Due to them having a vampire as a child, and though she is a perfectly normal girl, vampires have a negative spotlight on them in story, so many would look at her and her family with negative eyes. There are these moments spread throughout the season where you see things like this that you would have read, seen firsthand, or would have heard of that Hikari and her family had to deal with, just with a different coat of paint. She seems to have it best in comparison to both Yuki and Machi, but they do a brilliant job at showcasing even this positive girl has some family issues, that the close bonds that they all share help shield them from the negativity of the outside world. But my favorite of all the arcs and issues that the Demis must overcome is Sato herself, a female succubus teacher that teaches at the same school as Takahashi. Nothing really about her issues feels relatable, but I quite like it for that. You have three central leads who use their monster girl formula to bend real-world issues into something magical, and then you have a straight-up monster girl issue to balance it all out. And it actually works quite well. A succubus lure in those of the opposite sex. They are sex gods to those who look at, touch, or come in contact with them. All her life she has felt no one would love her for who she truly is, because people would love her because she is this desirable woman by reflex, so she doubts anyone could truly love her for who she is, but rather want her because they can't control themselves. She always covers up her body in an ugly tracksuit, boards the earliest and latest trains to avoid contact with people as much as possible, tries to avoid contact with any males, and in doing so lives a very unhealthy and lonely life. Takahashi, however, seems to be immune to her girlish charms. She on occasion bumps into him, to which he shows no reaction. He treats her like any normal normal woman, not a monster, and seems to be the one that was made for her, slowly allowing herself to open up and think maybe she could have a love life after all. The truth of the matter is, even Takahashi is head over heels in emotions, but he hides it so she doesn't feel like she had control over him. What makes the two's relationship so good is even though they don't totally end up together by the end, you see a massive growth in her character, showing off who she is and not locking her body away in a tracksuit, but embracing the world and her own body. The main fan service in the show is in her character, as her ability is literally about making men attracted to her, so there is an emphasis on her body at times. And there are very few instances where I felt that scene was just there to show some booty to the viewer and not to have some sort of importance to her issues or what was going on at hand. Hell, there's even this one part where she is zipping up her jacket and it gets caught on her boobs, to which she notices Takahashi embarrassed, and that makes her happy, as she loves the man and realizes maybe I can use my body a little on him because I do like seeing this embarrassed side to him. This is a massive growth to her character, as she was the one at the start of the series to hide her body away, but because of Takahashi, he tells her, your charm that lures in men is what makes you who you are, and is just an attractive trait the same way nice hair is to some. This scene could easily be dismissed by many looking in without watching the series, but it in fact serves a major purpose in her growth as a character while having a little bit of fan service to it. The show is that in a nutshell, 4 Demi-Humans with their own issues, some very relatable to the viewer and others more anime only, but at the core it builds a foundation on the clever characters and writing, real drama that doesn't feel like bullshit, but that you would naturally see in a school setting, and if Demis were real, this could easily happen. When you have a main character like Takahashi, who is an honest to good guy, who doesn't let anime tropes take hold and say I'm going to bang all the girls, but instead works at helping his students fit into a setting that naturally opposes them, to see where they all end up by the end, with both human and demi-human friends alike, it's simply magical. The series even goes the route of making Takahashi question if him favoring the demi-humans is acceptable as a teacher, as he is playing favorites by the principal's eyes. He starts isolating himself, to which all the girls, Sato included, send him a video message telling him how much they care for him, and if not for him they would all be outcasts still. The scene overall is heartwarming as can be, and even the principal by the end admits he is wrong, as he sees the girls interacting and having fun with standard humans, something that never happened until Takahashi started caring for them and helping them solve their issues. The principal's point was that Takahashi was making them rely on him too much, meaning that they would always need him, to which he eventually admits he was wrong. In 12 episodes I saw more care and charm and down-to-earth realism in a Monster Girl school series than that of many anime, and that utterly shocks me. Monster Girls plus school plus one male character equals harem waiting to happen with no soul. Instead, I got one of the most remarkable experiences I think anime has to offer, period, and not just from this year so far. It is not my favorite anime or one that I think is the best, but if I was to ever make a list of the most impressive anime I have ever seen, this would be near the top, and shall be a highly recommended series by me for many years to come. I think I could gush over this series for hours, so for now I'll call it quits here. I don't expect everyone to see eye to eye with me on this series or even feel as strongly as I do about it, but if anything I hope I showed one person a different way to look at this series, as I know few didn't give it the credit I think it deserves. But that's all for this video. Let me know your thoughts on my analysis on it and the series overall down in the comment section below. Be sure to smack that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, as both of which help to support the channel and make the community grow. And if you like what you see here and think, hey, this guy is alright, I want to help a brother out, then maybe consider checking out my Patreon, and if you like perks such as early access on videos such as this one, then maybe also consider donating as well. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.